Meet Sergey Young, a visionary, longevity investor, entrepreneur, and speaker on a mission to extend the healthy lifespans of at least 1 billion people. Sergey is the founder of the Longevity Vision Fund, a pioneering investment fund accelerating life extension breakthroughs through cutting-edge technology and science. Beyond this, Sergey serves as a strategic partner in the $101 million X Prize for Longevity by the HealthGevity Foundation, a groundbreaking initiative focused on promoting and funding solutions that enhance human lifespan. Sergey's influential book, Growing Young, now translated into Arabic language by Dr. Diamantes, is an inspiring roadmap to living a longer, healthier life. In it, he outlines 4 pillars of longevity: preventing aging-related diseases, repairing damage within the body, reversing aging, and rejuvenating cells. With a combination of practical advice, real-world case studies, and insights into current scientific advancements, Sergey empowers readers to take control of their health and extend both health span and lifespan. Sergey believes that these advancements should be accessible to all, not just the privileged few. By blending lifestyle changes with future-focused technology, Growing Young provides a path forward to healthier and longer lives for everyone. Join us on the HealthGevity Podcast, where we'll be speaking with Sergey Young himself.
Welcome, everyone, to another podcast of HealthGevity. Today, we have an amazing guest that I'm sure most of you know about what he has done, what he is doing, and also about the amazing book that he has written, Sergey Young. Welcome, Sergey. It's a really pleasure to have you in HealthGevity Podcast.
Hi, Dana. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, it was amazing when I think it was just last year that we met in Saudi Arabia in Evolution Summit. You know, for me, it was a really amazing moment to see all of those longevity scientists and influencers and experts in one place. So maybe tell me a little bit. Let's start from then. That what was the story? And you know, of course, a lot of people know about it, but you had a really, let's say, I can say, perfect role in doing the whole thing, especially the X Prize, $101 million. So please, a little bit start talking about that, and then I'll have more questions for you.
Yes. First of all, I'm so happy to meet my longevity friends, the audience of your podcast, and it's always a pleasure to talk about our common and mutual mission to bring healthy and happy years to human life. And as we all know, we want to make it available for everyone. It's a mission of my fund, of the book. It's a mission of HealthSpan X Prize that we've been working on since 2018. So I'm very excited to be here today. Again, HealthSpan X Prize. So first of all, for those of you who don't know, X Prize Foundation, it's pro bono foundation. It's nonprofit. And I'm on innovation board of it. It's based in California. Was set up by a very good friend and a partner in Bold Longevity Growth Fund. It's our 3rd longevity investment fund that we launched this year. Peter Diamantes. He's the founder of Singularity University. So many great things. And so Peter has a foundation. And the way it works, you announce the prize to the whole world. In this case, it's $101 million. And usually you award this prize to someone who solved one of the biggest world's problems. In case of HealthSpan X Prize, it's a problem of people aging and diseases of aging and getting diseases of aging, dying early, etc. So the winning team would need to develop and implement the intervention and test the intervention with the statistically representative group of people who are 65 years and above. And in the course of 12 months of this intervention, they would need to decrease their biological age from 65 to 45. So make them 20 years younger. And obviously we would need to check, 12 months and 24 months later, how sustainable is this effect? But in the end of the day, whomever will reach the biggest breakthrough in making people younger biologically, measured by a number of biological clocks, will win the game. So we already have more than 300 teams from 50 plus countries registered for this competition. Again, this is all pro bono. And I'm very excited that we've been able to launch it last November from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabian fund, Evolution, was the largest donor for the X Prize. I also put some of my money into this $101 million pot. I mean, not a lot to the extent that I can, but it feels good to be even a small part of all of this. I think the second largest donor is Chip Wilson, founder of Lululemon. Amazing person, just amazing guy. And I'm been blessed to work with these people. But if we have time, I can tell you the story of how this X Prize started, because I think it's a funny story. And
yeah, of course. So, when I was there, I mean, what Saudi Arabia and some other countries in the Gulf are doing is amazing, actually. They're investing so much money and effort for countries that maybe 5 years ago, they never thought that they are going to have such big initiatives. So, what I felt there, I felt like an, Cambrian explosion for longevity initiatives there. I think after that, a lot of companies, organizations, even countries and governments, they started thinking about that. Wow, we are actually behind countries like Saudi Arabia. We need to do something about it, because now everything has changed. It's a completely, I can say, it's a paradigm shift in the field of longevity with all these prizes, and especially the X Prize. So yes, please, if maybe you can quickly share your idea with us
it's a
about
short story. I first time I met Peter Diamantes was at Tony Robbins Platinum Group event in Sun Valley, US. And Peter was telling this whole story about different X Prizes, because the first X Prize was to develop a private spaceship, first private spaceship, and this actually, the winning team sold their rights for the private spaceship to Richard Branson, and he created Virgin Galactic. We've done a few X Prizes with Elon Musk as well. And so I approached Peter back in 2018, and I'm like, Peter, we need to do X Prize on longevity. We need to do X Prize on reversing human age. And he's like, Sergey, forget it. We've been trying to do it for the last 12 years. It's not going to work. And I'm like, Peter, you are the last person on earth to tell me that something is not going to work, because you're a crazy optimist. And he's like, oh, you're right, actually. Okay, you can put a little bit of your own money. I was the first investor in design this X Prize, and speak to all this interesting guy from longevity field like David Sinclair, George, Aubrey de Grey played a big role. Steve Forward, the inventor of one of the first biological clocks as well. So I spoke to so many people, and this is where this whole thing started. And you can sense, I was so happy. Then we finally managed to launch it November 2023 to the world. So I'm super excited. We're all gonna live much, much longer than we expect.
Yeah.
And our desire and aim for all of us to live the healthier and happier version of our life.
Fantastic. That's so amazing. Actually, the first time that I heard about Peter, it was like the first book of abundance. And then after that, I found out, wow, this mind is so much different. So I started reading a lot about other books, and I have learned a lot. Actually, I just want to share something in experience with what I have learned from Peter. I've created a new system. I call it futurepreneurship, the mix of entrepreneurship and future thinking. And, it has 7 pillars. And Peter Diamantes is the only person in the world that I can call him futurepreneur, because his mindset is so amazing. With exponential organization book that he has done with Salim Ismail, and also the longevity field. Then let's say all those initiatives, let's say that he's working on that. It's so amazing. So I've learned a lot about him during these years. And of course, from him, I learned about you and other people, because now you're working together. So this is amazing. I'm so passionate about what you're doing. So next question is this. Most people, when I meet daily, sometimes they say, how old are you? And my reaction is, you mean how young I am? So I am trying to change the question, because this is stupid. Even they ask children, how old are you? So I want to ask you, how young are you? Because I know we have chronological age, biological age, maybe even psychological age.
Yes, I'm having fun on it. So, okay, this is actually very interesting. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you touched so many points. Like, well, the reality is we have many ages today. So my chronological age is 52. My biological age is 39.
Wow.
My psychological age is like, well, this is where I'm like trying to put myself psychologically is 25. So
amazing.
like I try to feel and behave like a 25 years old person, young person.
Absolutely.
It's not always easy when you're 52, but I remember the time I basically do my like own morning mantra that I want to live 200 years in the body of 25 years old man. And when I changed this kind of psychological age target, it's been amazing. Just my whole life changed. Think about this. So again, I'm 52. You wake up every morning and you have 3/4 of your life ahead of you. This completely changed the direction of your thinking, of your plans, your ambitions and aspirations. So, and part of my book is called Think and Grow Young. So it actually covers the psychological aspect of aging and psychological age as well. So I'm a great believer in changing the mindset first, and then the rest, like lifestyle intervention. What do you do with medical screening, with different longevity avenues, how you can change yourself and the world around you. Start with changing the mindset.
Absolutely. It's the mind-body connection, that it's a, let's say, connection between both of them too. And of course, I do believe the same. Chronologically, I can say I'm 43, right? Biologically, I'm like 7, 8 years younger. And I'm very close to your psychological age. I'm 20. I feel 20, and I have never felt older than that, really. And it's to keep this spirit is so much important, because I think it will keep you energetic, and it will change the whole, your decision. It will change the energy. It will change the people around you, because you're not going to be people with, they are sad, they are negative, who think about life like, let's say, something that you're going to get a lot of diseases and die. That's it. No. So here's my question. You have a great, we call it MTP, massive transformative purpose, or you say vision. You want to bring longevity to 1 billion people. Okay, that's amazing. This is the same goal that we have in HealthGevity Nation. We say democratizing health and longevity. So tell me, how did you come up with this, and how do you want to do that? I know it's possible. I'm sure 100%, but tell us how.
Yes, it's another funny story about Peter. So I came up to one of my first Abundance 360 conferences, and I met with Peter, and he's like, Sergey, what's the deal? Like, what's your mission? And I'm like, I want to bring longevity to 1 million people.
Oh,
he's like, only to 1 million? Like, why? Just go for much bigger figure, because your incremental effort to bring longevity to the world for 1 million or 1 billion is actually, it's not 1,000 times more difficult. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is actually thought from Dan Sullivan, the founder of Strategic Coach, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, right, Ravda. Who, not how. Amazing book. I love
amazing
it.
book. Yeah, by the way, it's changed my life as well.
Yes.
So with this in mind, I've done a number of things. It's always, if you want to achieve this ambitious goal, the last thing you want to do is to do one bet, because one bet can work or it might not work. So the first thing I've done was I set up Longevity Vision Fund, because my first two funds called LEF, Longevity Vision Funds, and the third fund that we launched this year called Bold Longevity Growth, because we joined forces with Peter. So I thought, if I want to support the space, I need to support it with the money, with financial resources as well. So it's not my money; it's money of investors. The first two funds was $100 million, actually 102, and the third fund going to be probably above than 100 million, much more than that. We started to invest. So we invested in 18 companies. They are in the 5 fields, like gene editing, gene therapy, organ regeneration, use of artificial intelligence for early diagnostic of age-related diseases, and use of artificial intelligence for drug discovery. So this is what we do. And it's been exciting. 4 out of 18 companies already public. Another 5 to 7 will be public in the next 12 months. And it's been just, great journey. And the reason it's been great, and the reason it's connected to our mission, is that every technology that we invest in brings 10 to 20, sometimes up to 50 % times improvement in terms of cost and efficiency of treatment of particular disease. So, like, for example, we invested in AI powered ultrasound, portable ultrasound machine, which costs 50 times less than the ultrasound machine in the hospital next door. We invested in cancer diagnostic toolkit with a company called Freenome. We are very minor investor there. Like we would never be like the largest investor, because healthcare and medicine requires big tickets. So there's not a lot you can do with $100 million fund. But we've been part of the story. So we invested in this company, and this company brings the cost of early cancer diagnostic down to by 10 times. Or we invested in a company called like Genesis. They use our lymph nodes to regrow livers inside our bodies, helping people who are on the waiting list for donor organs. I think it's 117,000 people are on the waiting list for donor organs only in the US. Think about people all around the world.
Number. Yep.
Yeah. So their solution in terms of the liver as an organ for transplantation or replacement is 30 times, 30, less expensive than liver transplantation, organ transplantation. So, and I can go on and on in terms of giving examples of the companies that we invested in and supporting. And I think it's like super exciting. In fact, this year, I need to reconsider my mission, because we invest in the companies that has such a broad coverage in terms of diseases, influence on aging, etc. I need to redefine my 1 billion mission to something bigger, right? To all people on the planet.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure,
so
why not?
And it's the biggest thing. So this was the first thing. Second thing is X Prize. We did talk about X Prize. The final stage of this competition is 2030. So we're gonna have one or a few finalists who actually will bring intervention and test intervention and win the game, to make humans 20 years younger. So this is great. And then last is, well, I'm doing so many things. Like I'm doing the corporate longevity programs called Longevity at Work. It's all pro bono. And probably the last is the book, The Science and Technology of Growing Young, published in the US 2021, became a bestseller, published now in 10 different languages. Last September, I launched in China. I can tell you that launching the book in a country of 1.3 billion people, with population of 1.3 billion people, is like exercise by itself. I never felt so famous, like when you are on the podcast and then there are like 17 million people audience, or you speak into the magazine, like a health magazine in China, and I'm like, guys, do you have any printed version or it's all online? They were like, no, okay, every month we print 1.5 million copies. Wow. All around China. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just different numbers, right? But where I spoke at Beijing University for students and professors there, the audience was relatively small, like 300 people. And they were like, oh, Sergey, by the way, we do live streaming of these events. And usually it's anywhere between 1 and 3 million people watching. And I'm like, oh my God, so nevertheless, for me, every book, I mean, as an author, you're not making money on the book, right? The reason you write a book is the work of your heart, and you want to bring your ideas and mission across the globe. And for me, like every book published and every book which finds he's got a new reader and owner is the opportunity for the mindset change. And that's
Absolutely.
exactly how, that's why I'm working on my second book that we're discussing.
Fantastic. That's great. Actually, before I meet you there in Saudi Arabia, I had your book in my Audible list, all right? And I had listened to it. And I thought that, okay, this book is amazing. And I really want to translate it to those languages that I know so that more and more people can know about it and read. Because, in the Middle East and some other countries, not everyone really can speak English or understand it. So I didn't know how to contact you. And I was thinking, because I know you're busy, maybe the emails, even I think I sent an email, but I don't know really if it was delivered or no. But when I knew that you are going to be there in X Prize, I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to talk. And by the way, the translation of Arabic that now I'm working on that, yeah, we have like 450 people in Arabic speaking countries. And this is amazing, almost 500 million. So we can bring all those ideas to another 500 million people. And I am sure that it will have, it's a little bit controversial because, in this region, the science of longevity and then extending the lifespan is a little bit controversial, but I think people will get used to it and will learn more and more. And that's why I was passionate to translate the book. So now let me ask you a question about, yes,
Just a little bit about this thing.
Sure.
I spent a lot of my time in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. And that's why I think I fell in love with Middle Eastern culture, with the Gulf countries. I travel a lot along the region. I've still spent a bit of time in the US because I'm a founder. I'm not part of the day-to-day heroic team, which does investments as well. So for me, I'm very passionate about releasing the Arabic version of this book. And for every culture and every religion, I'm very happy to make an adjustment to accommodate this, because the main idea is to bring in health and happiness to human life. You can talk about life extension. You can talk about bringing quality into the same amount of same number of years that humans going to live. You can even talk about fighting, dangerous diseases like cancer, heart disease, metabolic diseases, neurodegenerative diseases that are 90% of deaths after the age of 50. So I don't care how it's called. It's a great mission, and I'm pretty sure we will make it successful, and we will have an opportunity to speak to minds of the leaders and people who live in this beautiful countries with a great culture in Arabic world. And I'm also very thankful to you and your team for helping out with Arabic version of the book.
Thank you. Actually, it's a passion. The whole field of longevity is so amazing that everybody, when I talk to those people who have a little bit, familiarity with the topic, they are passionate that what is going to happen. It's the advancement are so quick. So going back to your, let's say, vision or mission, let's say that you want to help 1 billion people. Peter Diamantes, talks about the 6 Ds, right? Digitizing, and then democratizing, demonetize. What do you think in the next 10, maybe to 20 years? Of course, we know that, for example, full DNA sequence used to be like $3 billion and then 100 million, and now it's like less than 500. And of course, in maybe a few years, just free. So what do you think in terms of the technologies that now are expensive? What is your perspective in the next few years?
So when people ask me about, so in the book, the main part of the book called The New Horizon of Longevity Revolution, and or longevity innovation. So and there are a number of technologies and scientific breakthroughs are covered there. But when people ask me, like, Sergey, in the next 5 to 10 years, what are the key technologies that would allow us to live longer, healthier, and happier life? I'm always talking about 3 things. Number 1 is gene editing and gene therapy. Spot on in terms of your example that, 25 years ago, it took humanity 13 years and more than $3 billion to sequence human genome. They didn't even finish. Right. So right now, just a few hours, $250, and that's it. So I think gene editing, gene therapy are amazing tool that will help us to make breakthrough in extending human life. We already know all 3,000 genes inside our DNA that called centenarian or longevity genes. So, you know, in the end of the day, we should just help Mother Nature to express these genes and live longer. So that's kind of one thing. And I also like in the field of gene editing, gene therapy, 20 years ago, it was literally used to help a handful of people, literally. Like, but right now we're looking at diseases that are you know, relevant for more than, you know, billion people. So metabolic, cancer, heart diseases as well. So I think
Alzheimer.
It's and neurodegenerative as well. In fact, our first investment from our new fund, from the third fund, is a company called Verge, and they have more than 100. They use artificial intelligence and proprietary brain tissue sample bank to develop 160. They have 160 programs against 12 neurodegenerative diseases. Think about this. It's like a fund within the fund. Amazing, guys. And so with this in mind, you know, I think it's really important to recognize the value of and the revolutionary nature of the breakthroughs that will be brought by gene editing, gene therapy. So that's 1 out of 3. The second piece is about organ regeneration. And think about and Aubrey de Grey always used the old car metaphor with this, as well as David Goebel, who invented longevity escape velocity concept many years ago. And you think about the old car, you can extend the lifespan of the old car by replacing spare parts. You can even replace an engine. And similar things will happen to human body. And in fact, you have a number of scientific and technological avenues to replace organs. You can 3D print organs. And now, you know, I've been to like so many amazing labs who are working on that. You can use the animal material or, you know, source it from animal tissues to regrow organs, lungs, for example. Or you can use your lymph nodes to regrow organ. And that's the company called Genesis from our portfolio that I mentioned earlier during our discussion today. So that's just like in 5-10 years from now, we can we can replace like so many organs inside our bodies and extend our health span and lifespan. And the third thing is longevity drugs. And I'm pretty sure that like if, for example, if today you're gonna go to the pharmacy and you ask someone to have drugs against aging, they would think you're crazy, or they would send you to cosmetics or supplements. But in a few years' time, we're gonna have completely different category of drugs approved to fight aging processes inside your body, reverse your biological clocks, make yourself younger, and therefore less prone and less receptive to age-related diseases. So it can easily be like old drug, like metformin, rapamycin, whatever the drug is, repurposed, or it can be new drug developed with the help of artificial intelligence. Like 3 of the companies that we invested in use artificial intelligence to compress the drug development cycle. Because in last year prices, you would need more than $6 billion and 12 to 15 years to develop the drug and test. Right now, like we invested in a company called Silicon Medicine. For the first part of drug development called drug discovery, they've been able, by use of AI, compress these 2 years into 2 months. Amazing. This is great.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, my last podcast was with Dr. Chris Rode, the founder of Mimeo Health, that now they have a pill that can actually mimic the fasting. So, you know, they have the molecules that our body produces after 36 hours of fasting, like spermidine, like even NAD, you know, the autophagy that we have after that. Now, even we don't need to do that because actually it's kind of hacking. And in the next few years, we will have more and more of this kind of hacking. You know, Dave Asprey, actually, I was listening to the podcast that you were talking together. So I think there will be so many technologies in the next few years with the help of AI and quicker, faster, cheaper, that even we cannot understand it or imagine it right now. So that's why it's so exciting. So let me ask you this question. You always talk about, okay, you say, I like to live 200. In my seminars, when I ask people, I say, do you want to live 100 even? I mean, maybe one person just raised a hand. And of course, I understand them because they think in 100 they are old, they are sick, they have a lot of diseases. But I say, okay, what if in your 100 you have the same health that you have right now in the age of 40? And then, yeah, people start raising their hand.
Yes.
And I say, okay, imagine now you are 100 and you're healthy. Do you want to die tomorrow? Nobody says yes, right? Even if it's 200 and you are still healthy, and if you ask someone, do you want to die tomorrow if you're healthy really? I don't think anyone says yes. But I want to ask you, okay, imagine now you are 200, okay? So what about after that? Next, what happens? Why not 300? Why you have chosen 200?
Okay. So this is very interesting. Well, first of all, it's only, depending on the country, it's only 20 to 30% of people would like to extend their lifespan. And I think they're just genetically predefined optimists, and that's the only reason. The reason being that we have very outdated model of aging in our minds, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know, like, centenarians, the people who live 100 years and above today, they just been lucky in genetic lottery. I mean, they
Yes.
obviously work a lot on their lifestyle, some of them not. But in the end of the day, these 3,000 longevity genes are like overexpressed or properly expressed inside their body. So we want to change it. I mean, when we talk about 100 years or 150 or 200 years, it's not about adding the kind of last, 5 to 10 years in the end of your life when you are in the most fragile form, when you require a lot of support and you're not autonomous or independent. Of course not. We're talking about, well, the way I see future, just in few years from now, we will be able to define our target age, and then we will use different interventions, different technologies to arrive to this age. For example, I'm now 52 chronologically, I'm 39 biologically, but if I want to be like 25 years, I just like use some of the interventions and I'm 25, right? I have a quality of life of 25 years young person. So I think it's extremely important to realize that the reason of the resistance, the reason behind resistance of people, the idea of living longer, is actually defined by the very old school and examples of aging that we have around us. So that's one. And then it was pretty simple. Like, first of all, I was thinking and communicating 100 years. People like, okay, my, grandpa, he lived 100 years. Or it's with more than 90% probability, it should actually grandma, not grandpa, because women tend to live longer. So then I thought, okay, let's do 150, and people like, okay, the oldest person on earth, she lived to 122, this beautiful French woman. And I was like, okay, so people were just like, okay, so what's the deal? So I invented this 200 years figure because then I can then I can get an attention. Like, no one knows whether I'm going to live to 200 years or not.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
there's no reason why I shouldn't have this dream. And this is my dream. It's completely irresponsible today, not science-based, because there's no science and technology which supports this. But, I'm still at my 52. I have another, even in today's terms, I have another 30 or 50 years where this whole thing can change and I can influence. And all of us in the longevity community can influence these technologies. So I kind of thought, I'll just do like 200 years. People shocked, like, this guy is crazy. What's wrong with him? I need to listen to him to see like what is he doing. And then I can tell people, all my story. Because when you start with 100 years, they're like, okay, next. But when you start with 200, they're like, oh, crazy stuff. Let me listen. So it started as a marketing thing, which, because I found it helpful for people to go to this initial shock and initial realization that you can have these crazy dreams. And then it's became a part of the mission and the story. I kind of really like it. And as you know, it's part of my, morning mantra.
Yeah, amazing. Well, actually, if let's say 100 years ago, a person said, okay, I want to live up to 100 because the average lifespan was like 45, 50, okay, everybody would say, oh, you're crazy, 100, okay, it's impossible. And this is exactly the same. In the next 30, 40 years, this is something acceptable, normal. But now, yeah, still, it's not normal. So let me ask you a question about the book. So if for those who haven't read the book, your book, what are three most important thing about your book that can help in it's practical, it's available almost for everyone that people can use in daily life? Maybe we can
Mhm.
say what are three most important
Yes.
actions that we can take to live healthier longer.
Yes. Sorry. Um, I'm so excited about this whole thing. So, three things. First of all, there's a last chapter in the book, which are the longest chapter in the book. It's 40 pages long, and it's
Right.
called Who Wants to Live Forever? But it's actually the name, it covers 10 longevity choices, 10 things that you can do today. So if I'm to pick up three things, number one is medical screening. The most important day of your life every year is not your birthday anymore.
Right.
It's the day of your medical screening, because current MRI machines and current diagnostic tools can detect so many diseases at the early stage. It can, like, today's MRI can detect early stage cancer in 99% of cases. And recovery rates for cancer, for early stage cancer, sometimes up to 90 or 100%. So this is life-saving tool, and this is extremely important. And some people say, well, this is expensive. Yes, but depending on the country, it can easily be part of your like annual insurance. And a lot of companies and insurance company actually stimulate you to do medical screening, because then they can spend sometimes up to 10 to 20 times less money to treat early stage onset of the disease, rather than to try to help you and save you at the late stage. That's number one. Number two is the power of wearables. And I'm full of sensors. I mean,
Yeah.
and in today's world, we used to call this watch smartwatch, but it's not the smartwatch anymore. It's our personalized healthcare devices.
Absolutely.
Apple Watch can detect at least 5 different types of heart arrhythmia. It can save your life. You can fall down on the street, and it automatically will call ambulance for you. And I can go on, and it can do like electrocardiogram. So I can just go on and on about different stories of different wearables. This is Oura Ring.
Yes.
That I use to monitor my sleep and physical activity as well. So think about this as not your like convenience devices or gadgets. It's your personalized healthcare devices. So that's number two. And then number three, it's all lifestyle interventions. So just I think it was the work of Cara Fitzgerald, Dr. Cara Fitzgerald, who wrote a beautiful book called Younger You. She, in the course of 8 weeks, she managed to bring down the biological age of her patients from down by 5 years for women and down by 3.5, I think, years for the men. 8 weeks. And you know what was the secret sauce? Diet, exercise, sleep.
Sleep, of course, absolutely.
So that's so don't underestimate the value that you can bring your health by using the lifestyle interventions and changing your lifestyle in those fields.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I have written a book that now I am reviewing it. I call it HealthGevity Journey, which is based on 12 pillars, which are the most important exactly intervention that you can have in your life. So number one is for me sleep. Second is exercise, and third is diet. Exactly what you said. And I have felt it during the past few years that how much D3 can really change your life totally. So let me ask you a question. Maybe it's much better because I haven't seen a lot of people ask you this because I don't know, they are mostly asking about longevity, but I want to ask about the field that you're working, which is investing, right? You are a professional investor. So what is your advice to a longevity startup to get fund to scale? And what would it be the best part of the longevity field to invest in for those startups who want to scale actually?
So look, it's very difficult to do super specific advice, but let me just share some of the thoughts and reflections that I get through
Yes, please.
by looking at 200 different longevity companies and startups a year, and that's it. So first of all, we all need to realize that we need many startups in this field. So don't try to think there's like one technology is more promising than the other thing. So even back in 2013, in the famous academic paper called Hallmarks of Aging, there were 9 hallmarks of aging. Even today, like we in our fund use the proprietary evolution of this framework, and we talk about 13 different hallmarks of aging. So I think everyone would need to realize that there's a huge complexity in human biology, and it's extremely unlikely that we will develop one thing which will help us to live longer. So you need to appreciate the complexity of it. That's why you can start in kind of every field. Just go through hallmarks of aging and think, what is the most promising, etc. So this is one thing. Second thing is AI. So more than 80% of the companies in our portfolio use artificial intelligence as an enabler. And that's why I think it's extremely important to realize the role of technology. Like my work in investments, in investing in longevity would be impossible 10 or 20 years ago, because we still haven't reached this critical point where machine learning, computing power, and artificial intelligence can make such a breakthrough in this field. So finally, through the whole history of humanity, we have something which can crack the complexity of human biology, which is artificial intelligence. So I think it's extremely important to realize, just make sure you have a strong technological component in your idea. And third, I think I've never seen startups that were successful by simply just working on science. I also never seen startups which were successful simply working on technology or entrepreneurship. So it's always a combination of scientific discoveries and technological breakthroughs which can make it a success. So combining great scientists with great entrepreneurs and great technologists, that's the best you can do on the team level. And even if you like just 3 guys, make sure that each of your founders or team members bring this important perspective. So there's never one thing. It's always a combination of these wonderful dimensions which will make you successful.
Fantastic. All right. So still I have a lot of questions, but I know our time is limited. So maybe the final thing that you would like to share with our audience and tell us that maybe what you are now working on exactly, most of your focus, or anything else that you think it can help be actually interesting for our listeners.
Yes. Well, I'm actually very excited about the work in neurodegenerative diseases field. Because think about this. So again, as I told earlier, we have 4 different diseases which are responsible for more than 90% of deaths after the age of 50. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes or metabolic diseases, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer and dementia. And if you think about this, we faced first 3 in the earliest stages of our life. And that's why there was a lot of people and a lot of billions of dollars, even probably $1 trillion, which were put by humanity in fighting those 3.
Yeah.
But neurodegenerative diseases, this is quite recent phenomena. And that's why, just not a lot of people in the world statistically live to the age of 75, 85, when you actually reach the moment and the risk of degradation of, your brain work. And I'm actually fascinated how it took us, hundreds of years to fight cancer. And congratulations, we're right in the middle of winning the war against cancer. So cancer is not a case of that anymore. But it's not the same for neurodegenerative disease. Like literally in today's world, we
Mhm.
don't know what we don't know about neurogenerative field, and it's terra incognita. And I think it's fascinating to see how artificial intelligence, computing power, machine learning, probably quantum computing, can actually bring a lot of discoveries in this field, but also will help us to find the cure or cures, different cures against that. So I'm really fascinated. Like, if you asked me this question 2 years ago, I would not be that optimistic. I would say like 3 out of 4, we got it covered. You know, we just need to work hard to fight that. And just recently with arrival of a generative AI and different applications of artificial intelligence overall, I'm super excited. That's why, again, I'm super happy that our first investment from a new fund would go to this company, which uses artificial intelligence to fight neurodegenerative diseases. So that's
Yeah.
personally for me, it's just fascinating.
Amazing. Well, and it's one of the worst actually diseases that we have because it attacks our dignity. For example, Alzheimer. This is terrible. And I felt it myself because my father for the past 7 years is just fighting. And for now, unfortunately, we don't have a cure or treatment. It's just a kind of we postponed it until a time that finally we can actually beat it. But unfortunately, yeah, now a lot of people, and the data just is increasing. That's why I think there should be some really serious actions to be taken in the terms of, let's say, the scale of governments, not only organizations or the scientific, let's say, research. So thank you so much, Sergey. Again, it was amazing talking to you, and we had an amazing pleasure to have you in HealthGevity podcast, and hope to meet you after finishing the book and have a good launch of the book in maybe the Middle East.
With great pleasure. Thanks to everyone, and stay healthy and happy.
Thank you.